Hey there, everyone, and welcome back to another installment of the Aspect of the Week video series. In this video, I want to talk a little bit about Mercury retrograde. Yes, everybody's favorite astrological cycle associated with communication snafus and travel delays or technical issues is back this January. So we have a Mercury retrograde starting January 14, running through to February 3rd. Before I tell you a little bit more about that and what it might mean and how to work with it, I want to make sure you know all about my monthly astrology guide subscription offering. This is perfect for you if you love astrology and want to get better at timing with the planets. In your monthly astrology guide subscription, you get info about every aspect and every astrological event and transit that is happening each week. If you like video astrological info, if you like your astro content via video, then this video-based subscription is for you. Members get access to exclusive videos that give you info about how to navigate daily life based on the astrological weather. If you'd like to find out more or sign up and join us for one of our special members only live Q&As, scroll down and grab the link below. Pop over to my website, kellysastrology.com, where you can find out more or sign up for your monthly astrology guide subscription. So with that little message out of the way, let's talk more about Mercury retrograde at the start of 2022. So we have Mercury stationing retrograde on Friday, January 14, and Mercury will be in reverse or backwards mode until February 3. So Mercury retrograde for the second half of January and the early part of February. Mercury retrograde is classically a time to revise, redo, or revisit. It's about going back over things that we thought we had sorted or figured out and realizing that we might be missing some information or we might have made a hasty or premature choice. So the opportunity to revisit things, to make them better or do them again exists in Mercury retrograde, but sometimes this can feel a little bit like repetition, where we're going back over the same thing again and again. And that's essentially what the planet Mercury is doing. So let's go a little further into the details of Mercury retrograde. Mercury is starting its retrograde at 10 degrees Aquarius and then reversing back through the early part of Aquarius and into the very latter part of Capricorn. So the zodiac space that Mercury will retrograde in is from 10 Aquarius back to 24 Capricorn. So one question I get a lot about Mercury retrograde is, how important is this for me? Clients and students are constantly asking, is this something that's really going to have a big impact on my life or not? And the answer is, it depends. It depends on a few very specific criteria. And if you can answer yes to some of these questions, then yes, this Mercury retrograde might be really significant for you personally. If you're answering no to most of these questions, then this Mercury retrograde might not be the most important astrological thing affecting your chart this January or February. So first question is to answer is Mercury your Time Lord right now? If you don't know what a Time Lord is, you need to take my training on annual perfections, and I'm going to link it to that below. If you do know what a Time Lord is, then you will know whether Mercury is your current Time Lord or not. And if that's the case, then every Mercury retrograde while Mercury is your Time Lord becomes more important to you. The second question you have to answer to figure out whether this Mercury retrograde is important to you is, do you have any visible planets or any of your chart angles between that 24 degree of Capricorn, 10 degree of Aquarius space? So do you have anything important in your personal birth chart in the zone that Mercury will be retrograde through? If you do, if you've got planets at between 24 and 29 Capricorn, or you've got planets between 0 and 10 Aquarius, or maybe your ascendant, midheaven, descendant, or IC is in those degree range, then yes, this Mercury retrograde is going to be a little bit more impactful for you personally. So that can be helpful. And if Mercury retrograde is important for you, like say you have your midheaven at 29 Capricorn, or your ascendant is at 1 Aquarius, or maybe you have the sun in your chart at 5 Aquarius, So maybe you have something in the retrograde zone, then the topics of that planet are going to be uncertain for a period of time. With Mercury retrograde, we're all questioning things. We're second guessing ourselves, and we're realizing that we could benefit from more information. And so that's the whole point of a Mercury retrograde cycle. It's one of the points is to go back over, to review, to read the fine print, to double check, to have more conversations, to go a little deeper in figuring out the facts or the relevant information for your current situation. So that's a little bit about the Mercury retrograde in general and whether it's relevant for you or not. There are three things that I think are always helpful while Mercury is retrograde. And these are my three favorite Mercury retrograde words, if you like: returning, remembering, and revisiting. So returning means, what do you need to return to sender? What has come into your space or your energetic field in the last few months since the last Mercury retrograde that we need to send back into the universe? And that can be practical and physical, where you've got broken things that need to be repaired, or you've ordered things online that you need to send back. Maybe you've borrowed things from a friend or a neighbor and you need to return it to them. So there can be a really practical approach with Mercury retrograde of returning and reorganizing some of our stuff, sending things back to where they need to go or where they came from. It might be that you have been invited places, or you've got some email or correspondence and you need to send your reply out into the world. So I'm returning your email and here's my response, and no, I'm not available, or yes, I'd love to come, whatever it happens to be. So returning physical stuff, but sometimes, returning documents, completing them, getting them back to where they need to go. Remembering. We often in modern life, I don't know about you, but things tend to go at a pretty quick pace, and you might forget things, or you might be overlooking or neglecting things. So remembering while Mercury retrograde is a chance to go back to, oh, I forgot about this, or I had said I was going to, and I haven't had a chance to yet. So there's an opportunity to tie off loose ends or deal with unfinished business that we can do while Mercury is retrograde. And that's really helpful. I first noticed this in a business sense many, many years ago, where I kind of naturally found myself while Mercury was retrograde, going back over emails that I hadn't resolved or dealt with, or work things that I'd started organizing and planning and then kind of neglected. It's like it was a chance to go back. Oh, that's right. I still need to send that final piece off, or I've got to make a decision about this. So let me revise all the relevant facts and information and even review the options, if you like. The final thing is revisiting. And it's kind of similar to remembering, but it's a little bit more active in terms of physically revisiting the people or places that spark curiosity in you. It might be that you had intended to take a particular training program, or you'd flagged a podcast episode or a book, a podcast episode that you wanted to listen to, or a book that you wanted to read, and it's sitting in your pile or your mental pile, and you're going to revisit that. You're going to spark your curiosity by getting new information in, or updated information might be a better way of describing it. So those words of returning, remembering, and revisiting, you can add them to your revise, redo, and review. The idea here is we're going back over things. We're not starting new initiatives, but we're looking to organize, resolve, or settle matters that are in process or that are unfinished or partway through. And some people say, well, maybe I shouldn't do this because it's not a good time with Mercury retrograde. If sending the document or making the decision pertains to something that already started, that you've been neglected or you've been delayed on, it's actually the perfect thing to be sorting out while Mercury is retrograde. A couple of other technical pieces about this particular Mercury retrograde to share with you. And to do that, I'm going to pop up a chart on the screen here. So this is the start of Mercury retrograde, Friday, January 14. Now, what I want to point out here is how close Mercury is to Saturn. So Mercury is retrograding at 10 Aquarius, so what that means is Mercury was headed towards a meeting with Saturn, but didn't quite get there. And so up until January 14, it looked like a certain thing was going to happen, or a particular decision was going to go in a certain direction, or you were going to have to meet a certain deadline. Because with Mercury coming towards Saturn, we're starting to anticipate that Saturnian experience, a reality check, a deadline, a responsibility, a big choice. But Mercury doesn't make the meeting. And this, if we put this in a practical sense, it's like knowing you have an appointment at the accountant and leaving your house to go there, but something disrupts you or interrupts you getting there. Maybe you get a phone call, you realize you forgot something at home, and instead of going to your meeting with the accountant, you turn around and you go back. And so with Mercury in that particular state, I think all of us are going to have a resonance with that of, I thought I was heading towards this thing mid to late January, but instead I need to go back to this other thing that I thought I was done with, but I realized I haven't clarified or fully expressed my position around. Mercury won't actually get to its meeting, aka its conjunction with Saturn, until early March. So there's quite some time before we need to worry about whatever the Mercury-Saturn thing is indicating. And instead, what this Mercury retrograde is showing us is we have to put what we thought we were going to do on pause to go back and manage unfinished business or to deal with something from the past. Now, when we say something from the past, that particular thing will be different for all of us based on our personal birth charts. And it will partly depend on the topics of the Aquarius part of our chart and also the Capricorn part of our chart, because this Mercury retrograde is going to take Mercury through this early part of Aquarius and into the latter part of Capricorn. So while I can't really say it's this topic or that topic, what I can say is that it's taking us back to a particular period of time. And it's taking us back to the early part of January and the latter part of December. And so as Mercury retrogrades through the second half of January, we're going back over the topics that captured our attention or took up a lot of our mental space from late December through to the first part of January. So if you think about what was on your mind, what you were planning, what logistics or scheduling factors you were dealing with, what decisions you were contemplating, they're not as done with as you think they might be. And I particularly want to point out the end of this Mercury retrograde. So we're going forward in time, week by week here. So I'll just do that a little more slowly. And you can see Mercury going backwards through the zodiac, coming right up to its station in early February, stationing direct at 24 degrees Capricorn. So in late January and early February, Mercury is back in Capricorn, revisiting a part of the sky that it was most recently in the latter part of December. So there's something about late December that is incomplete, unresolved, or unfinished. And we're not really going to get the solve or the solution for that until early February, when Mercury stations direct and is starting to really clean up the messes in this latter part of Capricorn that relate to events, decisions, choices, people, experiences, and encounters from late December. So it's important to understand how significant that Mercury station direct can be, and that even if you feel like during the Mercury retrograde, you're going back over things, you're repeating yourself, you're rehashing things. When we get to early February and Mercury stations direct, we start to figure out solutions. We've got a solve for a conundrum or a problem that has weighed on our mind. Or perhaps we have an answer or a resolution, particularly to decisions and matters from late December. So there's quite a lot to work with in even just a simple Mercury retrograde cycle. There's some general themes about the classic communication delays or crossed wires or miscommunication, the blooper type energy, the snafus. But there's also a little bit more specific that you can get in terms of the topics based on your personal chart. You know, if Mercury retrograde will be going over the descendant in your chart, then it's going to have a lot to do with relationships and how you connect with others and how you organize your time and your energy with other people. But we can also think about the timelines of how Mercury retrograde connects one current or upcoming period of time with a period of time from the recent past. So late December is linked to early February to do with the Mercury station. And what we're doing in the middle of January isn't fully complete until about the middle of February, when Mercury goes through that shadow part of the middle of Aquarius. So we are hitting our breaks a little bit towards this middle part of January, with Mercury starting its next retrograde. So Mercury, to recap, will be retrograde from January 14 to February 3, from 10 degrees Aquarius back to 24 degrees Capricorn. Let me know how and where this Mercury retrograde might be impacting your chart via the comments below. I'm always curious to hear how this shows up for different individuals. And if you really enjoy my style of astrology, if you like video content, if you like to get your astrology info this way, I hope you'll consider joining my monthly astrology guide subscription, which you can find out more or register for at my website, Kelly's Astrology. Have a great week, team, and I look forward to sharing more astrology with you again soon.